think China is precisely doing the same. And in the South China Sea, China is doing a lot of unconventional activities in the name of research. And it has done the mapping, as you suggested in the earlier answer. It has done the mapping of the topographical features which are present in the sea, like the canyons, seamounts, etc. And it has named them in Chinese as well. Analysts believe that this is a part of psychological warfare from the Chinese side. So, is it a useful exercise, and what are your views on this? Also, with respect to the India's perspective, does India need to carry out the similar deep sea exploration in the Indian Ocean region itself?
Firstly, China and the South China Sea. Now, as far as China is concerned, the South China Sea is China's sea. Anybody and everybody who's there is trespassing on Chinese territorial waters. So that's something they have made sure they've told the whole world. So they have named their islands, they've named the Spratlys in Paris, has given them Chinese names. So that they are not, they say there's no argument on this. Now, why have they done this? They have done this not because they like to have land or they like to have islands, because the more territorial sea they claim, the more they will be able to exploit that sea for its resources and the minerals and everything that comes with the sea. The future of the world lies in the sea. You heard of blue ocean and etc. Blue ocean economies and all that, because sustainable development is going to come from the sea. So China is ensuring it's already got the largest fishing fleet in the world, which it sends all over the place, does all kinds of illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. But it has realized that that is the key to its future economic success. India must do exactly the same thing, but not the way the Chinese are doing it, not in a belligerent way, not by poaching in other people's waters. We are doing it, but we have barely even scratched the surface of what lies below the sea. We have an exclusive economic zone of almost 2.5 million square kilometers. I don't think we have done any, we have done, I mean, I'm not saying we've not done, but we haven't done any meaningful research. We need to do a lot more to be able to utilize the 2.6, 2.4 million square kilometers to our benefit. We have been given exclusive seabed mining rights in the middle of the Indian Ocean for exploring for polymetallic nodules. We were given 150,000 square kilometers. We surrendered 75,000 square kilometers. But even the remaining 75,000 square kilometers, we have barely done any research so far. So it is time that we reoriented our whole approach to the maritime space and gave it the importance it deserves, because the India of tomorrow is going to be economically sustained by the sea. We just do not have the land resources to support a population that we have or will have 10 or 20 or 30 years from now. So it is very important. And that does not mean that just kind of ravage the sea of everything. It is all about sustainable development. So unless you don't understand the sea and what is below the sea, how can you even think about doing sustainable development? You don't know what you have to sustain, what requires to be carefully handled, what can you exploit more. So to get all this picture of all this, we definitely need to do far more than what we are doing. I know there are initiatives like Sagar Mala and all, but I don't think they've also addressed this problem in its entirety. Unfortunately, the maritime domain in India is still not getting the attention that it deserves.
Absolutely. And like you suggested, that this area, the maritime domain, is going to be the future, and we have unexplored resources there. But what about the environmental concerns like the seabed mining that are there? Various international agencies have highlighted these points. And do you think that seabed mining should be banned? And what can be the best next alternative to seabed mining without affecting the ocean ecosystem?
See, like I said, we have to understand the oceans first. Only when we understand the oceans or we understand what lies below the water can we use that effectively without causing undue damage and for the long term. And that is what blue economy is all about. The SDG 14 goal is very clearly about sustainable development of the oceans. Climate change is affecting the oceans. A lot of factors are affecting the oceans. Like I said, China is going and doing what we call IUU, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. Last year, their fishing fleet was operating on the Galapagos Islands, in what is perhaps the most sensitive marine biodiversity area in the world. It has been recognized as a UNESCO heritage site because it's so delicate. And there were the Chinese were there with some 40, 50 fishing fleet vessels of theirs operating with impunity. So that is where the problem is of what you said, seabed mining. Yes, seabed mining could damage the oceans permanently if not handled properly. So first we have to understand what is there, what is the kind of mining that can be done, how can it be best done, how can it serve mankind and still not damage the marine biosphere, which is as it is very delicate. So all these factors have to be taken into account. We have not addressed these yet, and so we run the risk of going into something we don't understand fully, but want to exploit. So yes, deep seabed mining uh, can cause damage to the marine environment, but if handled intelligently, if handled with knowledge, can become a source of global sustenance without that damage, without damaging to the extent that we would damage it if we didn't know much about it. I agree with you that it needs to be tackled very, very carefully.
So I think there needs to be more research done in this particular area before we went ahead on this particular
Oh yes,
thing.
definitely so.
Yes.
Definitely so.